So when I'm going to do my UV resin, this is the kind of tip that I prefer. There's no right or wrong, I don't think. So I'm going to take my UV resin. I'm going to move my drink far away from it. There's a lot of things you've got to follow. You know, read the directions. I'm wearing my gloves. And be outside or in a well ventilated area. That's all things that you need to figure out on the UV resin. But I just pour it on here like this. Carefully. Just do that. But resin is very toxic. So while you're using it, you know, once it dries, it's kind of like just thick plastic or glass, and it's supposed to not be toxic. But that's just read the directions and the instructions on that part, because I know it can cause some serious stuff. So anyway, that's not my expertise, but my expertise is paper mache. I love it. I learned from this lady that I cannot say enough good things about. And most of y'all, if you like paper mache, you probably already know Johnny from Ultimate Paper Mache. She is my hero when it comes to crafting. Anything paper mache, oh my goodness. She has taught me so many things. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend her channel. That's Ultimate Paper Mache. And I, have no affiliation or anything with her. I love her teaching style, and she is one cool lady. And even though I've never met her, I've messaged her and talked to her on several occasions on asking her questions, and she messages me pretty much back really quick. And anyway, she's a really neat lady. So I was how I got my love or my curiosity for paper mache, that is a cool story. I had a lot of issues, health issues, after I had my children. I kind of had them before, but after I had my babies, my goodness, it was the worst postpartum stuff you could imagine. And, well, probably not the worst. I'm sure there were a lot of people that, had it way worse than I did. But for me, it was something I'd never been through. Something that I had never experienced or even knew existed. And my family, I don't think even knew existed how much I went through. But I was watching Little House on the Prairie, one of my favorite shows, and my girls were young, and I was like watching it, and they had a little episode that had paper mache. It was actually referred to as papier, however they said it, French, papier something. And I was so intrigued. I liked doing crafts. I had already started crocheting and things like that, but I was so intrigued with papier mache, or whatever they said. And so YouTube had been around a few years already by then. And so I was like, I'm going to look up paper mache or papier mache I'm going to look it up on YouTube. And sure enough, I found her page. And sorry, I have a little baby doggy that loves attention, and she's barking at something in the yard. But so I fell in love with Miss Johnny on Ultimate Paper Mache. I fell in love with her technique and all that. So I would highly recommend if you're just getting into it. And then I also found this cool lady who does cotton ornaments, and that's kind of what this is more than just paper mache. This, you wouldn't believe it, is actually cotton. It's not paper. I believe. I'm not positive. It could be paper, but I believe, because I started this one probably last year before I knew what I was going to give that I was going to give it to my niece. And I started it, and I'm almost positive that it's mostly cotton. So there's her, I can't remember who she is, but I watched so many of her. She's like from the Ukraine or Russia. I don't know which one. One of the two. I believe it was the Ukraine, because it was like at something, or it could have been Russian. They're so close in the area together. So I'm not sure which one it originated from, but you can look that up too. It's cotton ornaments. And this is a cotton one. This is a cotton one. She is kind of part cotton and part tissue paper and paper towel. So there's so many things besides just paper that you can use in paper mache. And of course, UV resin requires a UV light to harden, or you can also set it out in the sun for a long time for it to harden. But the UV resin light helps it harden faster.